Starts with a man walking down the street, and he introduces himself as Jackal. His parents gave him that name, meaning that he should become the protagonist of the world. Of course, that's because his name in Korean means protagonist. He enters a store, people are saying that he's finally here. Of course, because of this, he was endlessly teased since childhood due to his name, but he never minded, after all, as he really does want to become the protagonist. He tells the shopkeep that's enough teasing, asking if he brought the game. The dude says that he knew he would come, so he saved one for him. It's the remake of Night Saga, called Night Saga Re. The story unfolds between the factions of humans and demons, and you either choose to become the human hero named Locke, or the opposite end of the spectrum, and you are the demon king's second son, named Zephyr Rhaenyraros, and you travel across the world fulfilling your objectives depending on which faction you pick. Since childhood, he has cleared Night Saga more than 10 times, so he knows every character, item, location, and event by heart. What's more, this is the very first game released after virtual reality systems had an explosive boom on the market. We see him back in his apartment as he's putting the chip in. He puts on his full dive helmet and plugs in the cartridge, and he sits there excitedly waiting, and he says that maybe he should take it light today, maybe only 8 hours or so. As soon as he's teleported in, he looks up at the bright ceiling, wondering if he'd loaded in. He says that Night Saga always starts with waking up in a bed, and that's the true beginning, but for some reason he doesn't recognize this character that he is right now. He hears a grungy voice asking if he's still asleep, and he tells him to come on out, saying that they're busy today. Yo and Gong says these graphics are insane, and it's like real life. The big orc asks what he means by graphics. Yo and Gong just can't believe he's able to have a conversation with them, saying that he never saw something like this in the advertisement. He asks the orc for his name, and he tells him that his name is Karok. Karok says that everyone's waiting for him, calling him Prince Shudra, saying to hurry up. Yo and Gong recognizes the name as Shudra Ignis, the Demon King's ninth son. He says he didn't even get to select his character, though, and he wonders why he was forced as him. He opens up his status window, and we see that he is level 1 and 14 years old. All of his stats are straight ass. He's only 5 each, and he tells us that a normal NPC is meant to have 10 in each. He looks at his skills, and we see one is called Conquest, and the other is called Protagonist Setting Adjustment. He wonders if that name means what he thinks it does. Karok tells him to hurry the hell up already. Yo and Gong says he's got it. When he exits, he's confused, as what he sees is nothing but orcs lined up all the way down. Yo and Gong asks why this atmosphere feels like they're going to war. Karok says that's enough nonsense, and they need to move out, as they have Red Thunder orcs to deal with. Karok says that it's his first battle, and he needs to move. But Yo and Gong asks where the tutorial is. Apparently, the Red Thunder orc tribe has risen in revolt, and alongside the 7th prince and 8th princess, he's supposed to help suppress it. He asks Karok why they're only taking 10 people when it's war. Karok says he told him yesterday that they were just patrolling. Yo and Gong asks if he really did, and Karok wonders what's wrong, saying he's been acting so weird all day. Yo and Gong opens up his mini-map, saying that he knew there would be one, and this makes things much more convenient, and that he'll keep it on at all times. He then spots a hidden path, wondering if it's an event. He tells Karok that this path will take forever, and that he knows a faster way to follow. As they begin, we see them exploring through the forest, eventually climbing over a cliff. Yo and Gong looks gassed out, but what is ahead of them is a hidden area that is closed off with 2 giant stone gates. Karok asks how he knows about this place, asking if he's a mage. Yo and Gong says not at all, and they ask if he's okay, saying he looks exhausted. He says that he didn't expect his stamina to be this pathetic, and he just wants to see if he can open the door. As he steps forward, a golden ore starts to envelop him, and he wonders what's going on. We see that he leveled up due to a notification, and he asks if he really leveled up just from walking. Not only that, but every single stat point went up by 2, and he says this is broken as hell. He then hears the sound of the gates being destroyed, and Karok asks if he's going to stand there, saying they have to move. Yo and Gong doesn't know what's inside, but since he's not alone, he says that it should be doable. More importantly, a protagonist always gains opportunities even when falling off a cliff instead of dying. They enter the cave from the mouth, and Karok says that it's probably a dwarf tunnel. Yo and Gong says that dwarves aren't supposed to be, dwarves are meant to be in the demon realm. Karok says not anymore, but long ago they did live here. Yo and Gong asks if they all migrated, and Karok says that he only heard their stories. They then spot a bunch of treasure in front of them, and they start taking the items out, saying that this shit is really good, And those dwarves left with some really good weapons behind. Yo and Gong staring at it while they're all going crazy, because he can't actually wield any of them, due to the level requirements not being met, but also his stats aren't high enough. He says they might as well keep them, and he wonders how to put it into his inventory. He picks one up and says store, and it goes straight into his inventory. He says it's just as he thought, touch it and think store, and it goes right in. On the minimap, he sees a bunch of red dots. He wonders if they're enemies, and tells everybody to stand back. Right from the wall, a crack appears before an explosion ensues, sending the orcs flying. It's actually one of the Red Thunder orcs. They step out, saying that they noticed them coming, and he is the tribe commander named Kaiken. Kaiken yells, telling his men to kill them all. And the orcs start getting slaughtered. Some of them are fighting back, but it doesn't seem like they're able to do much, because they're getting overwhelmed in numbers. The tide slowly starts shifting back to their favor, and Yo and Gong wonders if he should get some last hits for some experience. He sneaks up behind one of them as it's fighting an orc, and he attacks it full force, but his blades break instead. He looks down at it, wondering if he got the shit off of Temu. The red orc glares at him. He starts running and screaming, and trips over a rock, falling face first into the flue. We see that actually took 14 of his health, but he still has 5 mana points left. The red orc closes the gap, going to finish the job, and Yo and Gong screams before Karok steps in, blocking it. And he asks what he's doing, telling him to move. Yo and Gong is sitting there, completely frozen with fear, watching the fight. He says that his hands are still shaking, and it's only a game, but he still doesn't want to die. He says he can't do this, and that's enough for today, as he goes to the menu. He says it's way too real, and it's scary. We also notice that his species is called Gandharva. He doesn't actually own any skills, and he's confused as there's not a single option to log out, and he wonders if maybe he's trapped in here. Kaiken spots him and slowly walks forward, launching an attack towards Yo and Gong using magic. Yo and Gong says he can't die here, as they pierce him all over, and it hurts like hell, sending him flying backwards into the cliff. He begins panting as his consciousness begins to fade out. Yo and Gong then comes to in an area, what I assume is his mind. He wonders where he is, saying that he's sure he was done in by that orc, and he starts to wonder if maybe he's dead. But then a bright golden light appears in front of him, and he hears a woman's voice saying that he is like fate to this place, telling him to conquer and rule through subjugation. She stretches her hands out forward. We also see that she has 2 different colored eyes. Yo and Gong wonders what's going on before the bright light completely envelops him. Back to the war, we see the green orcs are getting overwhelmed, but still trying their best. Kaiken is coming to reinforce his troops. Then he says to think that they'd come here with just this many people. He wonders if they're ignorant or just stupid, and he says there's no need to waste time and to kill them all. Yo and Gong wonders if that was some kind of awakening he just went through, and Kaiken turns, asking how the hell he's standing back up. Yo and Gong sees the status window say that he has acquired psychokinesis level 1. He wonders when he got this. He's then surprised as we see that he has a secondary job called the Knight of Conquest. Kaiken asks what his men are doing, saying they need to kill him first. Karok realizes this, saying that he can't let this happen to the prince, and he yells, telling everybody to protect him, and that the prince must not be harmed. Yo and Gong just stands there, still trying to figure out what's going on, and glances back over at his status window, saying that this job never existed in the game. He then stabs the floor, saying that it's like he's known it forever, as the incantations keep swirling in his head. He looks forward, saying that the power of conquest is the power of a king, and he yells, saying under the king's banner, as a golden light begins to wrap around all the orcs. We see that the conquest skill provides a buff effect to allies within a designated area. The orcs all say they're overflowing with power, and they charge forward towards the red tribe members. One of them punches a hole straight through one of their chests, and they're making light work of these guys now, using nothing but their fists. These boys don't need no damn weapons. Kaiken asks what's going on, and how they got stronger all of a sudden, as this is absurd. He spots Yo and Gong on the back, casting the spell, and he says that it definitely has to be him. He launches 4 attacks, saying that he can't let him continue this. Yo and Gong looks towards them, but Karok steps up, instantly taking out the attacks. Yo and Gong, now seeing Karok's skill, is confident in him, telling him to go forward, as he charges directly towards Kaiken with his newfound buff. Kaiken realizes this is bad, and yells, asking him to wait, before Karok sends his head flying off. The other tribe members see his head on the ground, and start running away. The orcs say they can't let a single one escape. A status window tells Yo and Gong that a general's merits are for his king, and it gives him 3 level ups, back to back. Yo and Gong wonders what's going on, and Karok, staring at Yo and Gong, starts to wonder where this power came from. As he's staring down at it, he looks back towards Yo and Gong, wondering if he could be the reason they have this. Back at their camp, Yo and Gong says it's not here, no matter how much he looks. There's no exit game button in the menu. He tells himself to calm down, over and over. He says there are 2 possibilities he can think of. The first is that he's trapped in virtual reality. A critical bug might have occurred in the real world, if so it might be resolved with an update. The second sounds crazy, but this is not a game, rather it's a reality. Like in novels or comics, he's entered the world of a game, or a world similar to the game. The background is so real it can only be described as reality. NPCs that he can genuinely have conversations with, and most importantly, there is no mosaic censorship as he's looking down at his dong. He wonders if he's really in another world, and if he has to die to get out, but he says that's not a risk he can take. And at least it's orcs and not ogres. For now, he's a prince, the golden spoon of all golden spoons. Karok enters, asking if he has a moment. And I guess going forth, since he's most likely trapped, we will call him Shutra. Shutra asks Karok what he wants, and we hear that Karok wanted a duel with him. Karok says that he's still the leader he has to serve, so it would be good for the future if he knows his level of swordsmanship. Shutra asks if there's a reason for that, and Karok hands him a sword, telling him not to worry, as he'll go as easy as possible. Shutra asks if that's really how he should be talking to his prince, and he charges in, saying that if they are going to do this, they should do it right. Karok puts up his guard, and Shutra swings down, hitting Karok in the head. He then starts stabbing him all over, but Karok just sits there, saying that it's like an egg trying to hit a rock. He swings forward, with barely any effort, sending Shutra flying backwards. Shutra rubs the back of his head, and Karok asks if he's okay. Shutra says that if he's going to hit him that hard, he should tell him this, but we see that he's actually unlocked basic swordsmanship level 1. He looks up at it, confused, and he wonders when the hell he got this. He then realizes it, saying that this is the same as what happened with psychokinesis, and if he acquires skills when he experiences the attack himself. Karok says that they should end the duel here and get something to eat, but Shutra asks who said it's over. As he starts standing his ground, he says that he's just getting started. Shutra charges in. This time with a much more refined thrust, but Karok still blocks it. And he says that his movements definitely improved. Then wonders why he was like that at first, saying that his skills didn't suddenly level up or anything. He swings forward once more, making Shutra distance himself. But he seems like he's having fun, asking if he can handle him now. He asks what his level is, and Karok says the last he checked it was 21. Shutra opens his status window, saying that soon he will catch up. And we see that he is now level 7. He explains that in this world, people have levels, but unlike him, you can't just check your level on a status window. You have to use a level measuring spell to see it, but he can see detailed stats, and being able to reinforce stats with extra points from leveling up is a huge advantage. He leaps forward off the ground, flying in at Karok, and they start trading blow for blow. Shutra says this means that he can become stronger, and it's not just that, but he can advance way faster than anybody else could ever think of. There are multiple episodes until the ending, but the most important is the Force event, Day of the Massacre. This event occurs in the Demon Realm year 517. It is a major event where Zephyr kills all of his brothers for his goal. Since it says all brothers, he's obviously included. The current year is 512, so there's still time until 517. He needs to prevent this event by any means before then. Ideally, he'd become stronger than Zephyr. Karok asks what he's doing here, as he's been looking all over. Shutra asks if there's something wrong, and Karok says that today's their meeting. Shutra asks what he's talking about, and Karok says to just hurry up as everyone is waiting. Shutra heads back to their camp, and we see him sitting down at a table, laughing nervously, saying that they came early, as we see 2 of his siblings across from him. His brother, who is the 7th prince named Chris Moonlight, asks why he's speaking formally all of a sudden, saying to speak comfortably since they're siblings. His sister, Caitlin Moonlight, also says that it's her first time meeting him in person. She's the 8th princess, by the way. Chris says that it's fine, and he can just call them brother and sister casually. Shutra says okay, and says that these 2 were the children of the 4th queen, Elaine Moonlight, ruler of the lycanthropes. They gave him a hard time, even in in-game battles. But Chris and Caitlin, 1 year before the day of the massacre, are killed by Zephyr and the Demon King's children. The reason is, Caitlyn's birth secret is that she wasn't the Demon King's child. She was illegitimate. Caitlyn then asks why he didn't follow the plan and decided to fight them, as she only told him to scout. He says he didn't expect them to come out there. She then starts walking over, saying that she needs to check, asking if he has any injuries. Saying that he needs to be careful, because he's the weakest among the siblings. He apologizes and wonders why they're worrying about him, and if the Demon King's children really get along this well. Chris says that he agrees with her, saying next time he shouldn't do something risky, as he'll get scolded. Shutra says he understands, and he wonders why they are so nice to him. He then thinks about it, saying that there were a lot of aura users among the lycanthropes. Perhaps thanks to all the life force they have, if he used the same method he used to get skills, maybe he'll be able to learn aura easily as well. He says that he has a favor to ask from them. Chris asks what he wants, and Shutra's eyes start lighting up, and he says that he wants him to hit him with aura. They both wonder what kind of masochistic freak he's turned into. They wonder if they heard that right. But it takes us to elsewhere, as we see the red orcs being sent flying, as there is a full-blown war going on between the greens and the reds. Some gang activity starts to appear, a giant red orc starts killing his own, and they leap to attack him, and he deals with them as well. One of them cuts his arm, and he looks down, pissed. The guy realizes he made a mistake before he gets turned into a red mist, and everybody else in the vicinity gets sent soaring into the air. He yells, telling his men not to let a single one escape, as the one who kills the most will be rewarded. It seems as if the green orcs are listening to him, and that he's on their side. I guess Shutra is sleeping, but we see him back in his consciousness, and he spots the woman from before who helped him. He asks her who she is, and then looks around, saying that he wants to know who all of these other people are as well, as he does not recall these characters within the game. The woman gets closer to him, before turning into a bright light once more, blinding him as he slowly opens his eyes back in his room. He wonders what the hell that dream was about, and Karok starts whispering sweet nothings into his ear. Shutra says that scared him, and Karok says that he seems fine, and he wonders why he asked his siblings to hit him. He kept whining, wanting him to look at where it got him, but we see Shutra starting to release some aura. As it turned out, it actually worked, and he says that he can actually feel it. Karok asks if you can just awaken it if you get hit with it, and Shutra says at least somewhat, it seems. He asks if he was the reason he was so full of energy when fighting in the cave. Shutra says that was him, and Karok says he understands. Shutra, more importantly, asks if anything happened while he was sleeping. Karok says, of course, the main force won against the red orcs. Shutra asks about it, saying that he thought that his siblings were the ones sent here to take down the red orcs. Karok says there's no way, asking if he knows how big that tribe is. Shutra then asks who's in charge, and Karok tells him that it's a man named General Bondal. Shutra seems surprised and says that he's one of the strongest dudes out there. Thanks to that, he really liked him as a subordinate when he was playing as Zephyr, and then he realizes this might be his chance. Bondal becomes Zephyr's subordinate in the year 515, so he is not his subordinate yet, which means that he can take him for himself first. He knows all the risks that know about him, the rewards he likes to receive, the food he likes, his talents. But the most important part, when bringing him to your side, the secret is to defeat him in a duel. If he knows this much, he should be able to take him as is before Zephyr gets the chance, and he has plenty of time to try it. And that is his first goal for now, and it is to set up a proper subordinate. We hear it jumps to Chris yelling at Caitlyn's camp. He asks if he really reached the basics of aura in just one day. Shutra says he poured all of his points into aura, so this is the least you should expect. That's not that he invested them thoughtlessly either. Since aura enhances all around physical abilities, it's more beneficial than psychokinesis. Chris says that this is ridiculous, asking if it's because he is a Gandharva. He then asks Shutra if by chance he can also draw a map of the burrows. Shutra says he thinks he can, and while he doesn't have an actual map, he does have a mini-map. And then he asks if he can borrow a paper and pen. He begins drawing, and eventually he finishes. Chris says that this is even more detailed than the map he has, saying that he's a real genius. Shutra laughs, and Caitlyn says that the Red Orc tribe they encountered was annihilated, so they don't know that they've found these burrows yet. Chris says that if they use this, well, they can catch them off guard. So with that said, there's one more thing they need him to do. He heads back to the mountains, and Karok asks if it's another reconnaissance mission for them. Shutra says it can't be helped, he's the weakest among his siblings right now. But Karok is just grateful that they got reinforcements, and Shutra says that it's thanks to the achievements they made. Karok laughs, saying that's right, and then they spot two people ahead of them, as it's none other than Caitlin and somebody else. Shutra asks what's wrong and why she's wearing a rope. She tells him to be quiet, as she doesn't know what will happen on this mission. She's going to follow him in secret. And she'll only step in if it's truly dangerous, as the credit needs to be his alone. He wonders if she's just stupid, and why she's supporting him, but says that he won't turn it down. The other lady introduces herself as Sarah, the adjutant. Shutra says it's nice to meet her. Caitlin says they'll follow on their own, so he shouldn't mind them and focus on scouting. He says he understands, and they head down into the cave that they were in before. As they're walking, Karok wonders why the rooms are all completely empty, and who moves without taking their valuables. He assumes the dwarves would take them all. Shutra then asks about the weapons they saw before, and Karok says they probably weren't considered valuables. Shutra says it kind of makes sense. They continue down, and Karok says that he thinks something is coming this way. Shutra says that he can hear it as well. Shutra spots them on the minimap, saying that they're about to start swarming them, and opens his inventory. He says he knew this would happen, so he prepared in advance a flash magic item. He says when he gives the signal that everybody should close their eyes. At the end of the cave, we see spiders beginning to crawl out of them, charging, as they all have rocks on their backs too. They're called rock spiders. A monster often found in places like caves, and they move in swarms of dozens and possess a potent paralytic poison. Shutra tells everybody to close their eyes, and throws the flash magic high into the air. It shatters, creating a giant golden light in the top of the cave, blinding all of the rock spiders' eyes. Shutra says that they are creatures of darkness, so when exposed to light, they become completely immobilized, and he yells, telling his units to kill the spiders. All the boys start charging in. The spiders try fighting back, but it's futile, as the boys are taking them out with complete ease. Shutra stays in the back lines, and opens his minimap. He starts zooming in, saying that rock spiders hunt in packs, and in every pack there's always a boss, and he spots it. He tells Karok to follow him, as they're going for the boss. Karok says he's got it, and he and Shutra start making their way through the brawl, going straight towards their target. We see that it's actually way bigger than the other ones, and they start screaming at them. Karok leaves up off the ground, going in for an attack, and starts attacking the top of its shell. But he's completely taken aback, because he isn't even scratching it. Shutra says that the thing's shell was really tough, and he actually forgot. That means the axe can't pierce its shell, and its weakness is fire. But he can't use fire magic yet. And then it starts opening these little eyeballs all over its shell. Karok looks surprised, as the axe starts charging directly towards him. He doesn't know what to do, and Shutra says that he needs to use fire. He asks where the hell he's been to get fire all of a sudden. And Caitlin tells Shutra to raise his sword. He does so, and starts to get enveloped in fire. He's surprised, asking if she's using magic. She asks if this will do, and she starts supporting him from the back. The rock spider comes in for an attack towards him, and as he gets closer, he readies himself. As we see an explosion from the attack, he bursts out from the dust it kicked up, and starts scaling up its leg. And pairs the flame sword with his basic swordsmanship, calling it the burning blade, as he starts cutting the rock spider boss all over. The boss now starts to get lit completely ablaze. Shutra stares at it. He then starts to get that level up aura, and a notification appears multiple times, giving him 2 levels, making him now 9. He gets excited, and Caitlin asks if he's okay, wondering what that light was. He doesn't know how to explain it and tells her that it's just a blessing that happens and not to worry. She asks if it's a blessing from being a Gandharva, and he says yes. She then asks if he's fought them before, as he seemed to handle them pretty skillfully. He says that he read about them in a book, but having fought them in the game, it's only natural to know their moves. Karok then tells him to take a look at this, and he turns as they spot a door hidden within this cave. They open it and enter the room. Shutra is surprised as he recognizes this as a town portal. Karok asks if he knows what this is, and Shutra says that he just has a guess. He's not entirely sure, but the symbol is in dwarf style. When playing as Zephyr, he didn't even get to see one, but as the hero he's seen a few. He thinks it activates when magic is infused with it. He tells his sister that it's some kind of portal, he thinks. She asks if he's certain, and Sarah says judging by the style it looks like the prince is right. Caitlin asks if they can tell where he leads, and Sarah says probably if they look nearby there should be some inscriptions. Karok points it out on the wall, saying that there's writing here. They walk over, taking a look. And it's obviously not the common script of the demon realm, and it looks like dwarven script. Karok asks Caitlin if she can read it, and she asks how she's meant to know that. They then ask Sarah if she can, and she says she doesn't. Shutra starts reading it, saying that it's the Zikshka Mountains portal number 2 and it seems like it's connected to portal number 3. Then he wonders himself how the hell he read that. We see that he has acquired the skill of dwarf script now and he can't believe that he can acquire languages like this too. Karok asks if he really just read that and Shutra says that it seems so. Caitlin asks when he learned it and Sarah asks what it says at the bottom. Shutra says that it seems like it will activate when magic is infused, asking his sister if she can try it. She asks why he doesn't do it and he says that he's still clumsy at it and he doesn't want to tell her he can't actually use magic. She walks over infusing it as the orb starts to have a slight blue light and then starts to pulsate as it expands out, showing the entirety of the mountain range they are currently in. They see their current location and portal 3 as well and they wonder if maybe that's where the dwarves are hiding. Karok says this is good as the main forces of the red orcs are right in front of these mountains. Shutra says yes, now they can catch them off guard. Caitlin decides they should stop here as they'll discuss their details later. They head back to the camp and Chris is just excited, saying that Shutra really is a lucky charm. Shutra tries to say that it was genuine coincidence, but he's low-key tearing up from his brother's slaps. Chris says that if he wants to say something, to just say it as he'll do anything he can for him. Shutra says it's fine. Chris says as his brother and leader he wants to give him a reward, so he shouldn't refuse, otherwise he'd be disappointed. Shutra asks if even a somewhat unreasonable request is okay. Chris says that's fine, and he's actually curious as to what he'll ask. Shutra wants him to teach him the Beast God Fist. Chris seems a bit taken aback, and Shutra says that weapons are out of the question due to his level, but skills are different. The Beast God Fist is a powerful martial art passed down in the lycanthrope royal family. In simple terms, it is a high-level S-rank martial art. He knows it's a lot to ask, so he understands if he refuses. Shutra says that he guesses it's still too much, and it's okay as he expected that from the start. But Chris says that he'll teach him. Shutra is surprised, and Chris says that he can't teach him the secret techniques though. Shutra gets excited, and Chris says that instead he'll teach him the aura, saying that surely is enough of a gift. Shutra doesn't say anything, and Chris says that he must not like it, but Shutra says that he absolutely loves it. Chris then calls out to him in a warm tone, saying from now on, besides Caitlin, he wants to think of him as a close younger brother. Shutra thinks about it, saying that's a pretty meaningful statement, but it's not a bad suggestion, and he's okay with it. And he says of course, as he and Chris shake hands, Caitlin also looks happy now, and Shutra says that they should work well together from now. And we see that the two of them have formed an alliance with him, and as it stands it is a regular alliance. It then takes us back to the mountains close to where Portal 3 is, as we see the Red Orcs outpost. Inside one of the tents, one of the orcs say they probably didn't come here targeting her from the start, and they say they wonder what their great princess is doing here. As we see here tied up, this is the 6th princess named Felicia Doomblade. But back to Shutra, he's looking at his charisma stat being his lowest. He says at first, every time his level went up, all of his stats increased by 2, but at some point his charisma only started going up by 1. And he wonders why this is the case. In the game, appearance and charisma were separate stats. Appearance simply meant how good-looking or beautiful a character was, but charisma is about how likable a character is in the eyes of others. He says he supposes it makes sense, since his growth pace has been good so far. More importantly, he's about to hit level 10 soon. In the game, whenever Zephyr or Locke hit level 10, their unique skills, Descendant of Darkness, and the Chosen One, go up by 1 level. And he wonders if he hits level 10, then surely at least one of his skills will rise. Karok enters, saying everything is ready, asking if he's ready to leave. He says he is, and Karok says he's in a good mood today, asking what happened. Shutra says it's nothing. As they head out, we see all of the orcs ready, awaiting his command. He says it's time for them to head out. They cross the mountains back into the cave. With the lycanthropes now on their side, they begin opening up a path. And we see the portal door right behind them. On the inside is Chris and everybody else. Chris asks the lycanthropes if they have finished their investigation. One of them says it's just as he said, the portal is connected to the river of the Zikshka Mountains. Chris asks if it's functioning properly, and the mage says yes, there are no issues, and as expected of dwarven craftsmanship, it's sturdy. Chris says that's good, and it's time for them to move. They then start to channel their mana into it, and once more, it lights up before it opens the portal to the mountain range. Chris starts walking forward, but Shutra is just surprised, saying that he can't believe he's seeing a gate in real life. Caitlin asks what he's waiting for, and he says he'll be right there. As soon as he enters, he's teleported to the other side, and he's surprised by what he sees, as the enemy encampment is directly in front of him. Chris says it's just as he expected, their encampment is right here. He says judging by their size, there's probably 5,000 troops roughly, and if they're striking from the rear, then their supply should be their priority. If General Bondal launches an attack from the front to distract them, then their infiltrating units can burn down their food stores from behind. Sarah says that something seems strange, there aren't nearly enough troops in the camp. Chris says she's right, wondering where they went, saying maybe they've already started an attack. Shutra spots something to his side, asking what that is, and he says it sounds like a battle is going on. Chris tells him to focus his aura on his eyes. Shutra says okay, and starts doing exactly that, and he sees the red orcs fighting up ahead. Caitlin says one side is definitely the red orcs, wondering who the others are. Chris says they're not General Bondal's men, since today wasn't scheduled for any battles. Shutra says the scale of the fight is too small. Shutra also wonders what's going on, as we see elven women fighting the red orcs. Shutra recognizes them, asking what dark elves are doing here. Caitlin is surprised, asking if he's sure they're dark elves. He says yes, they have a smaller build, and the fact that they're riding Dracos makes it undeniable. She asks what he means, and Chris says it looks like they're retreating, saying that their commander fell, as they're leaving at an incredible speed. Karok asks if the fight's really already over, and Shutra wonders why the dark elves would be here. Back at their encampment, Bondal says he heard they found the dwarf's portal, as expected of Prince Chris's army, but he wants to know how he knew where the portal would lead to. Chris says that he actually wasn't the one who found it, it was the 9th prince, Shutra, who says that he simply got lucky, and seeing Bondal again is strangely pleasant. Bondal says that he'll finally be rewarded properly at the Demon King's castle. Chris then says that there was a small skirmish in front of their camp, asking if he knows anything about it. He says that it was the Dark Elves that seemed to have joined the battle on their own accord. Chris asks why they would do such a thing, and wonders if they're not reinforcements from the castle. Bondal says it's hard to say. According to them, they were planning to scout before joining up, but things went wrong, and they have a bigger issue now. Chris asks what it is, and Bondal says it seems the leader of the Dark Elves independent unit was captured by the Red Orcs. Chris says that explains the skirmish, and Shutra asks who exactly the commander is. Bondal says it's somebody that they know well. It's none other than the 6th princess, their sister. Chris and Caitlin look surprised. We learn more about the 6th princess, and how Felicia is the daughter of the 3rd queen, a former Dark Elf princess named Sylvia Doomblade. Felicia is the twin sister of the 5th prince, Sylvan. In the game, Felicia and Sylvan belong to the 4th princess, Anastasia Necrian's faction, and that's why they are always thought of as enemies. So how exactly did Felicia show up here? And Shutra wonders if she interfered just to take the credit. Chris says that maybe they don't know that she is Felicia after all, but Bondal says that he hasn't been able to confirm that. Chris asks what the plan is, and Bondal says that they'll save her if they can. Chris asks if there are any negotiations, but Bondal says that they make the first move. He supposes they can talk, but he has no intention of bowing his head first. Chris says he sees. Bondal continues, saying that he'll gather more intel on his end, and to contact him if anything comes up. Chris says he's got it, and their little communication ends. Chris says that it seems their sister has become a prisoner of war. Caitlin says that if she's still alive, they have to save her. Chris says that would be ideal, but it won't be easy, as they could suffer their own losses trying to rescue her. Caitlin says they are going to save her, as they have too, since she is their sister. Chris thinks about it, and says that he understands, but they're in a tricky situation. Shutra just wonders what's going on. We see outside their tent there are a bunch of lycanthropes, and on the inside they're having a meeting. Chris says the plan is simple. When General Bondal lures out the main force of the Red Orcs, they'll launch a surprise attack on their garrison from behind. After that, he'll push into the center of their camp and cause as much chaos as possible, and that Caitlin and Shutra will each lead their units and carry out their missions. Shutra asks if the mission is rescuing their sister, and Chris says yes, but also to burn the food supply and armory first before rescuing her. And if it gets dangerous, to just get out immediately, as they can't afford to lose more lives just for Felicia. Caitlin starts to get pissed, and Chris tells her to be quiet, as he is the commander of the unit. She tells him that Felicia is their family, so how can he say something like that? He says he can't let her selfish actions ruin this operation. Shutra wonders what's going on. It seems like Chris doesn't really want to save her, and he wonders if something has happened between the two of them. It is now night, and it's time for their plan to work out. As the lycanthropes and orcs are working together, pushing through the main force, Chris and the rest watch from up top. He spots all of their camps from the cliff, and it seems like they are even alert at night. He looks around, waiting for the signal, and then there is a giant explosion on one of the sides. We see soldiers being sent through the air, as Bondal is brute forcing his way in, and he yells, telling them to kill them all. Back at Shutra's side, Karok says the attack started, asking if they are going or not. They wait for their signal, as the orcs continue charging through like brutes. Bondal sits in the back, waiting for the time. After a little bit, he waits for a second and tells all units to retreat as they begin pulling out. Chris sees this as their chance and tells everybody to get ready, since it's their turn. Then he tells Shutra and Caitlin to complete their missions according to the plan, and he gives them the order to charge in. As they start doing so, the red orcs are completely taken aback, as they are starting to get overwhelmed. Caitlin warns Shutra to be careful, and he says that she should too. He opens the mini-map, spotting the safest route, saying they need to make a beeline for the food storage. Karok charges forward, saying that he'll kill every last one of them, and they start carving their path out. One of the orcs comes in for an attack, and Karok realizes he won't be able to block this, but something flies in, hitting him in the head. We see Shutra through a dagger, as he has acquired the ability at some point, and he smiles since it works so well. Karok asks when he learned this, and Shutra says it's nothing, he got the skill after trying it once last night. Karok says that they seem to have found the food storage, asking if they just need to set it on fire. Shutra says yes, they should follow the plan, but he wonders about Felicia, saying if she is trapped in there she might get caught in the fire and die, so they have to find her first. He asks how they are going to do that, and he tells them to wait a second as he opens the mini-map. He says that she should be recognized as a neutral NPC, so she should be marked in blue or purple. He then spots her and tells Karok to follow him, as they burst into a tent. He says this is definitely the place, asking where she is. She calls out to him, and he turns, spotting her to his right, all chained up on the floor. She asks how the hell he got here, and looks surprised to see him. Felicia asks Shutra what he's doing here. He says that they can talk later, and she needs to stay still as he begins to try undoing the chains. He tells her this place is dangerous, and they need to get out of here quickly after he unties her. In his head he thinks that if he gets her indebted to him here, it'll be useful later. She still just wonders what the hell he's doing here. They manage to escape, and Shutra says they need to regroup with Chris and Caitlin. She asks if both Chris and Caitlin really came to rescue her. Shutra says of course, asking why she's even saying that, asking if they were meant to not do so. She says that's not what she means, and that he's so far removed from the power struggle that he doesn't know. But before she can finish, Karok yells, cutting her off, saying that they're swarming in. Shutra tells her to quickly stay behind him, and she says okay, but wonders when he started calling her by name. He starts running, and she spots an attack flying in from behind and yells, telling him to look out, before he gets pierced straight through the back of the chest. He begins to spit out blood and combusts, turning into flames. Karok and Felicia scream out his name, as they can't do anything but sit there and watch the flames continue. Felicia begins to panic, and one of the orcs starts to come in from her side. She is a little annoyed, but then spots something to her side as a fire attack comes in, hitting the orc in the face. Surprised, she asks what the hell is going on, as she sees none other than Shutra slowly stepping up, having now acquired mana control level 1, and fire arrow. He smiles and starts rapid firing that hoe, taking out the orcs left and right. Feeling confident in his newfound ability, he continues just rapid firing, single-handedly destroying the orcs. He says this is the real shit he's been looking for, and that this is what real magic is like. Even though it's only level 1, it sure is incredible. An ice attack then lands behind him, and he looks at it, saying this is the perfect chance. One of the orcs begins drawing back an ice arrow, and he realizes that it's aiming at Felicia. She runs over, asking if he's okay. He tells her not to get any closer before shoving her away. She wonders what he's doing, before the ice arrows fly in directly towards him. He says that he can't let her get hit by this, because it's all his now. Bro is actually a freak. They start hitting him, and we see a giant explosion of ice, and once it starts to settle, of course we already know what's about to happen, because he has acquired ice arrow, and he says that it's just as he thought. He then starts to feel very weak. He drops to the floor, as there's an ice arrow sticking out of his chest. His health is now 13 out of 95, and he says this is really bad. As he is bleeding out, he understands if he takes another hit like this, he's done for, and Felicia calls him an idiot. She looks genuinely worried and asks who told him to even save her in the first place. He wonders if she's a tsundere or something, and she says even among their siblings, he's the weakest, so why did he think that he needed to save her? He says that he's glad she's misunderstanding this, and then he looks over towards the archer, wondering if they're gonna fire another shot, but he sees him slumped out. She asks where he learned magic, and he realizes that she's much stronger than he thought, and that now she's misunderstanding it, thinking that he was doing it to save her. She then begins healing his wound, as we see a bright green light. He looks down at it as it slowly starts to close up, healing itself. Of course, he also learns the heal skill, which means that now he can just tank all attacks and learn them himself. He says for her to heal the wound instantly is crazy, but as expected of the genius mage. She then asks if he's feeling better and if he can stand. He says he's fine thanks to her, and his health has been replenished. She asks what he means, but before he can explain it, they hear the sound of stomping like crazy, and they turn and see a giant red orc charging at their men. Felicia asks what the hell that is, and Shutra says that's a blood ogre. It's one of the mutated species of ogres. She asks if that means that they have to get through that thing to escape. He says that's definitely the case, as it starts to tower over them. They make a run for it, and he asks how he's meant to fight this so early. If you've watched till the end, comment, Curry, to let me know.
Thanks for watching. I'm going to introduce the new manhwa. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video. And if you want to see a specific manhwa, name in the comments, I will try to make it. It will take long time, but I try to make it, and see you tomorrow.